Here I've got a nice fresh server that's going to be my WSUS server. You can see that I've already run Windows updates on this machine and it's fully up to date. And it's also a domain member. Now, one of the prerequisites is Microsoft Report Viewer Redistributable 2008. You'll need to install this before you start. I know there is a 2010 Viewer Redistributable, but if you install that, it will complain at the end and say it wants 2008. So run that update and let it install. That's gone on successfully. Finish with that. Okay, now thankfully WSUS is a server role. So if you've got a server manager, roles, add roles. Skip that, click next. You'll see right down the bottom that Windows Server Update Services is now a role, whereas before you had to download it. IIS is a prerequisite, so if you install it and IIS isn't already installed, it will ask you to do so. Accept all the defaults and click Install. This can take some time. I've speeded this up for the purpose of the video. Okay, the welcome to WSUS 3 setup. Accept the end user license agreement. Where do you want to put your updates? I've already created a folder on the D drive called WSUS, and that's where I'm going to put them in. It says you should have at least 6 gig free. Next. Yes, I want to install. I'm going to use the existing IIS default website, so it'll go in on port 80. If I select the other one, it'll put it in on port 8530. Need to remember that for later on. If you tick the second option. When that's done, click Finish. And it will want to do some configuration. So simply click Next. No, I don't want to be in the improvement program, thank you very much. Next. I'm going to synchronize direct with Microsoft Update. If you have upstream WSUS servers, you can synchronize from them if you wish. If you need to go to a proxy server to get onto the internet, you can select that there, type in your proxy details and any credentials you need to authenticate. I don't need to go through a proxy, so next. And then you need to connect up to Windows Update. Click Start Connecting. This can take some time. Again, I've sped it up for the purpose of the video. Probably an opportune time to go and get a coffee. What languages do you want to download? I only want English updates. And what products do you want to pull downloads down for? There's a whole host of stuff in here. I've got an Exchange 2010 server, so I want to pull updates down for that. A lot of Forefront or ISA or Dynamics. Here's Microsoft Office. I do have Microsoft Office, but I only have Office 2010. So let's untick that and manually tick 2010. I don't have any SQL. Versions of Windows. Right, that'll pull down for everything, so let's turn that off. We have Windows 7. And what else have I got? I've got Server 2008 R2. Hopefully I don't have any Vista, I don't have any XP, I don't have Microsoft Works. Brilliant. Next. Now, what classification of updates do I want? Definitions, service packs, updates and update roll-ups. I think that's sufficient for what I want. You can also put drivers in there if you want. I'm going to synchronize automatically, and I'm going to synchronize once a day at midnight. Next, I'm not going to begin the initial synchronization because it'll take quite some time. I'll sort that out offline later. Next, and finish. Installation is successful. Close. And that's us done in there. So we've configured WSUS. Now what we need to do is get all our clients to point to our WSUS server. So jump across onto one of my domain controllers, and I'm going to create a group policy to make that happen in Administrative Tools. Group Policy Management. Now, thankfully all my computers are in an OU sensibly called Domain Computers. So that's where I am going to create my group policy object. So let's have a look in my Active Directory just to prove that under Domain Computers, there's my computers on my little test network. So to create a new group policy object, right click the OU in question and select Create a GPO in this domain and link it here. So I know what it's doing, and it's patently obvious what it is. I'm going to give it a sensible name of Windows Update Policy. And there it is there. So let's get it configured because it's only a blank policy. Right click and select Edit. Let's open this up so we can see what we're doing. Pull that across a little bit. It is a computer configuration, policies, administrative templates, Windows components, and then if you all the way down the bottom, find Windows Update, and over in the right hand page you'll see there's all the options that we configure for our clients for Windows Update. Let's just take a quick look at them. Let's open the first one up, across a little bit. Do not display, install updates and shut down. Well, I actually want this to display, so I'm going to leave that as not configured because that is the default. If there are updates, I want it to be on the shutdown button. Next, do not adjust the default option to show that. Well, the default option is to show that, so I'm going to leave that not configured again because, like I said, I do want that there. Enable Windows Update Power Management to automatically wake up machines. If your machines are hibernating and you want them to update at death o'clock in the morning, you can set this to wake them up. My machines are turned off at 5 o'clock, so I want my stuff to happen during the day when my machines are not in hibernation anyway, so it's not really applicable to me, so I'm just going to leave this as not configured. Configure automatic updates. This is a big one. Let's have it turned on. Now what I like to do is change this option here because I don't want any notifications for my users. Users get frightened when you notify them of things. Auto download and schedule the install. I'm going to do it every day. Those are your options there. And the default of 3 o'clock in the morning is not good for me because my machines are going to be off, so I'm going to change that time to 12 o'clock. That's good, happy with that. Next setting. Now this is where my clients are going to look. So this is the URL of my WSUS server. Now I use the default IIS website, so it's just HTTP and the name. If you created a standalone, you'll have to put :8530 on the end, but we didn't. So just the URL and the name of the server is fine for us. Next setting. Automatic updates detection frequency. Now this can get quite complicated if you try messing about with these numbers. It applies a bit of maths and plus or minus 20%, but if you have a look here, if you leave it as not configured, it just defaults for 22 hours, which is fine for what I want. Every 22 hours is brilliant. Allow non-administrators to receive update notifications. I've already said I don't like my users to receive any notifications at all, so I'm going to disable that, because the last thing I want is things popping up in front of my users and then panicking and ringing the help desk and saying, why is this saying this? So I am going to disable it. Go on my users, then only administrators will receive notifications, not general users. Next. Turn on software notifications. I've already said I do not want any notifications at all, so I'm simply going to disable that. The last thing I want is anything popping up on the screen. Allow automatic updates immediate installation. This may sound a little scary, but it's only for updates that are not going to reboot the machine, require a restart, or interrupt any services. So this is a good one to have enabled and turned on. Turn on recommended updates via automatic updates. This will install recommended updates as well as all the other normal important updates and secure updates, etc. No auto restart when user logged on, so you want to enable this. I don't want things rebooting when I've got my users logged in and trying to do some work. So I'm going to enable that. Pre-prompt for restart with scheduled installations. I want to enable this policy. This is the annoying how long it's going to wait before it prompts you again, and it's really annoying. So you'll see I've set that at 1440 minutes, which is 24 hours. Obviously there's a security risk to doing that, because that's your updates not being applied until the machines are shut down. My machines will get shut down at 5 o'clock anyway. So the delay restart for scheduled installations, unfortunately you can't set this to a value higher than 30, so I'm going to set that to its maximum of 30 minutes. Reschedule automatic update schedule installations. This is the amount of time a machine will wait after it's been turned on if it's missed its scheduled installation. I usually set this for 15 minutes after the machine has started. Enable client-side targeting. I'm going to talk about groups a little later on in the WSUS console. You can specify what group you want this machine to go directly into. I prefer to do all that on the WSUS box. I'm just going to leave this as not configured. Allow signed updates from Microsoft Update. Bear in mind, this is only for updates that are going to be on Microsoft Update anyway, and it will only download updates that have been digitally signed, and you already trust the person who issued the digital signing certificate. So that's a good policy to have enabled. That's the last one, so click apply. OK, and that's our policy configured. All our machines in the domain computers OU will start picking up that policy either after 2 hours, or when they reboot, or if you run a GP update /force on them. So let's have a look at one of them clients just to make sure. If we have a look in the control panel, Just change that to small icons. And look at its Windows Update settings. See, this machine already thinks it's up to date, but if you try and change the settings, you'll see all the options here are greyed out, and it's saying some settings are managed by your system administrator. Everything's greyed out because the policy is forcing them upon the client. You'll notice there is one option there that I can mess about with. That's because I'm logged on as an administrator and I've got Microsoft Office on there. So I know my clients are getting the correct policy. So they're pointing at the WSUS server, but no updates will come out because none have been approved and the WSUS itself has not been configured. Now it can take quite some time for your computers to start popping in here. I leave it at least a couple of days before I come back here and visit. But if you look in unassigned computers, change that to any and click refresh. Those are the machines that have reported in. Don't worry about any warning signs on them. That might be just telling you that they need updates and you haven't approved them yet. You haven't approved any updates yet. So you can, if you so wish, go to automatic approvals and you can automatically approve all new updates. Some people just want this to chug away in the background and farm out their updates and they don't want to have any intervention with it. If you want to automatically update, remember update roll-ups. If you've got an Exchange server, if you automatically approve them for install, when they go in they will interrupt your Exchange services while they're being installed. Okay, we only have two groups on assigned computers because we haven't created any yet. So if you wanted to, you can simply set that and it would automatically approve anything that came in. Click apply and then click run rule. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to cancel out of there. Another approach is, you'll notice all the machines are in unassigned. You can create particular groups. You notice I've got a couple of servers here. I might want to treat updates for them differently. I should hope you would anyway. You can see I've got a KMS server there. I want to pop that in servers. And the WSUS server itself is obviously a server, so I'm going to pop that in servers. Now what some people choose to do is to create a group that they can test their updates on. I'm not saying you have to do this or whether it's best practice. It's just, if you want to do it this way you can. And then create another group for all their production machines. So I'm going to test my updates as soon as they come out on that machine there. Obviously in a live environment you'd have a lot more machines. You could take half of an office or half of a particular type of machine and put that in your test environment, or just the machines in your office. It's pretty much up to you. And then I'm going to put that machine in production. Sure, I want my updates to automatically go on the test updates group, so if I go back to automatic approvals where I was earlier, and I'm going to set the default automatic approval rule. I'm going to add in updates, and I want that to apply just to my test group. So anything that comes will automatically be approved for them and go on. Run the rule. Yes, it needs to be saved. That's fine. I've sped this up. This can take quite some time depending on how many updates are there. So just shy of 1,000 updates have been approved. Apply. Okay. If you wanted to manually look at your updates, if you just click on the top level there, it'll give you a quick dashboard of status of updates. But if you expand that out and select all updates, by default you'll see the approval there set to unapproved. That's because these are update roll-ups and definition updates and other bits and bobs. So you can manually select all these. I'm holding down shift and selecting the first and last one. You can select them one by one using control if you so wish, and I'm going to set them so that I'm going to approve those for update on my production. I'm going to approve them on my servers. If you've got any new machines, they automatically drop into unassigned computers, so I want to approve them for that as well. And as I throw everything on my test update machines, I want to approve them for install on there as well. Click OK, and you've probably found with a few of these will be end user license agreements and stuff that you've got to accept en masse for all the updates. You see that one's for IE9. Approval completed without errors. Close that down. And that's pretty much us done. Obviously it can get a lot more complicated than that, but that's a very quick run through on how to install WSUS. Set your policies to farm out. If you have anything new that pops in, if you have a look on that dashboard there every couple of days, that'll tell you whether anything needs approval, etc., or anything needs your attention. That's done. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to come and visit us at www.petenetlive.com.